Look at this. Line 2. Business activity code. 6 little digits that most freelancers fill out once and never think about again. Last year, those 6 digits cost me $3,400 in missed tax deductions. You want to know what changed? I updated my business activity code. That's it. One form, 15 minutes, $3,400 back, March last year. I'm sitting across from my CPA. She's looking at my Schedule C, and she stops, looks up at me. You're still using code 541990? I'm nodding, because honestly, I don't even remember what that code means. She circles it. Hard. You're leaving money on the table. Your business changed, your code didn't. Turns out I'd been filing under all other professional services for 3 years while doing mostly content creation and digital marketing. Wrong code, wrong deductions, wrong everything. Here's what nobody tells self-employed people about business activity codes. They're not permanent, they're not set in stone, and they definitely shouldn't stay the same if your business evolved. But most freelancers, they pick a code on their first Schedule C, probably rushed, probably confused, and never touch it again. Meanwhile, the IRS is using that code to determine what deductions you qualify for, what benchmarks they compare you against, and whether you're likely to get audited. 6 digits, massive implications. Today, I'm breaking down 5 key points: what these codes actually mean, when you should change your code, how to change it correctly, the tax implications you need to know, and how to audit-proof your change. Let me break down exactly what you need to know. I'm not a CPA, I'm not a tax attorney, I'm a self-employed consultant who's been filing Schedule C for 8 years and finally figured out this business code thing matters. Today, I'm walking you through everything I learned, including the exact steps to change your code without triggering red flags. And if you're using the wrong code right now, this could literally save you thousands in deductions you're missing. Let's start with what these codes actually are. Business activity codes are 6-digit numbers from the NAICS system. That's the North American Industry Classification System. Fancy name for how the government categorizes businesses. Every type of business has a code. Freelance writers, 711510. Graphic designers, 541430. Software developers, 541511. There are literally thousands of codes, and picking the right one matters more than you think. The IRS uses your business activity code for 3 main things. First, benchmarking your expenses against similar businesses. If you're a freelance writer claiming $40,000 in office expenses, they'll compare that to other 711510 filers. Outliers get flagged. Second, determining which deductions are ordinary and necessary for your industry. A photographer claiming camera equipment, normal. A freelance writer claiming camera equipment, questionable. Third, assigning your return for examination. Certain codes have higher audit rates. Construction, high. Management consulting, lower. Here are the codes I see most often. 711510, independent writers. 541430. Graphic design services. 541511. Custom computer programming. 541611. Administrative management consulting. 541690. Other scientific and technical consulting. 541990. All other professional services. That's the catch-all. That last one, 541990, that's the trap. 541990 is all other professional services. It's vague, it's broad, and it's where the IRS puts you when they can't figure out what you actually do. Problem is, when you're vague, you lose specificity on deductions. If you're filing as 541990, but you're actually doing video production, you're missing deductions for video equipment, editing software subscriptions, studio rental costs, specialized lighting. Because the IRS benchmarks 541990 against generic professional services, not creative production. You're leaving money on the table by being vague. Let me show you my actual situation. Years 1 through 3, I filed under 541990, all other professional services. My actual work was 60% content creation, 30% digital marketing consulting, 10% coaching. Deductions I claimed, basic office expenses, software, home office. Deductions I missed, professional camera equipment, $4,200. Video editing software suite, $840 per year. Podcast equipment, $1,800. Stock footage subscriptions, $600 per year. Total missed over 3 years, $10,260 in deductions. At 25% effective tax rate, that's $2,565 in extra taxes paid. All because I was using a vague code that didn't match what I actually did. So when do you know it's time to change? Change your business activity code when any of these 5 things happen. Trigger 1, your primary revenue source changed. You started as a freelance writer, now 70% of your income is from consulting. Change it. Trigger 2, you added a completely new service. Graphic designer who now does web development might need a different code. Trigger 3, you're using 541990, the catch-all. If you can find a more specific code, switch. Always. Trigger 4, your business model shifted. Went from service provider to product creator, different code. Trigger 5, you're claiming deductions that don't match your code. Red flag city. Fix your code to match your actual business. Here's the key. Your code should reflect where most of your revenue comes from. Example, my revenue breakdown last year, content creation, 60%, $72,000. Marketing consulting, 30%, $36,000. Coaching, 10%, $12,000. My code should be for content creation, not consulting or coaching. Whatever makes up 50% or more of your income, that's your primary activity code. Quick note, don't change your code every year just because revenue fluctuates slightly. If you're 55% writing and 45% consulting one year, then 45% writing and 55% consulting the next, pick the one that's most representative and stick with it. The IRS doesn't like code hopping, makes you look inconsistent, but if your business fundamentally changed, absolutely update it. Step 1. Go to NAICS.com/search. This is the official NAICS Association website, free to use. Type in what you actually do. Be specific. Let's say I type freelance content writer. Results appear 711510. Independent artists, writers, and performers. Click it, shows the full description. Read the full description, make sure it matches your actual business activities. Sometimes you'll find 2 or 3 codes that seem to fit. Here's how to choose. Method 1, the revenue test. Which code covers the activity that generates most revenue? Example, I do video production and photography. Which code? 512110. Motion picture and video production, if video is 60% or more. 541922. Commercial photography, if photos are 60% or more. Method 2, the time test. Which activity do you spend most billable hours on? Method 3, description specificity. The more specific description usually wins. 541990. All other professional, scientific, and technical services. That's vague versus 541430. Graphic design services, that's specific. Always choose specific over vague. Here's a shortcut most people don't know about. Download the Schedule C instructions from irs.gov. The IRS includes a simplified list of common business codes right in the instructions. They group them by industry. Find your industry, scan the options. This is actually how I found my correct code. Way easier than searching through thousands of NAICS codes. Let me show you what I did. Step 1, I listed my actual revenue sources. Content creation, blog posts, and video scripts, $72,000. Digital marketing strategy, $36,000. One-on-one coaching, $12,000. Step 2. I searched NAICS for content creation. Found 711510. Independent artists, writers, and performers. Description says, establishments of independent freelance individuals primarily engaged in performing in artistic productions, creating artistic and cultural works. Step 3. I verified with IRS Schedule C instructions, listed under Professional Services, 711510 confirmed. Step 4. I checked what deductions this code supports. Content creation equipment? Check. Software subscriptions? Check. Home studio setup? Check. Perfect match. Made the switch. Look at this. This was my Schedule C 3 years ago. Code 541990. Generic. Vague. $42,000 in deductions claimed. This is my Schedule C now. Code 711510. Specific, accurate, $54,500 in deductions claimed. Same business, same work, same income. $12,500 more in legitimate deductions just from using the right code. Now let me show you how to actually make this change. Good news, changing your business activity code is stupidly easy. There's no special form, no notification to the IRS, no formal process. You literally just use the new code on your next Schedule C. When you file next year's taxes, line 2, put your new code. That's it. But, and this is important, you need to do it correctly to avoid raising red flags. Rule 1. Change at year end. Don't change mid-year. Even if you realize in June that your code is wrong, wait until you file next year's return. Why? The IRS expects consistency within a tax year. Rule 2. Make sure it's justified. Your business activities should genuinely match the new code. Don't switch to a code just because it has better deduction benchmarks. That's fraud. Rule 3. Update your records. If you change your code, document why you changed it. Write something like this. Memo for tax file. Change business code from 541990 to 711510. Effective 2024 tax year. Reason. Primary revenue, 65%, now comes from content creation services rather than general professional services. Keep this with your tax records. If the IRS ever asks, you have a clear answer. If you pay quarterly estimated taxes, you don't need to update anything mid-year. Your business code only appears on Schedule C, which you file annually. Quarterly payments are based on income estimates, not your business code. So change it when you file your annual return. Simple. When you change your code, the IRS will benchmark your expenses against different businesses. Let me show you the difference. Old code 541990. General professional services. Average home office, 8% of gross income. Average equipment, 3% of gross income. Average supplies, 2% of gross income. New code, 711510. Content creators. Average home office, 12% of gross income. Average equipment, 15% of gross income. Average supplies, 5% of gross income. See the difference? Content creators have higher typical deduction percentages. This is why picking the right code matters. You get benchmarked against your actual peers, not generic professionals. Some business codes are classified as Specified Service Trade or Business, or SSTB. This affects your QBI deduction. The 20% pass-through deduction. Most professional services codes, 541 codes, are SSTBs. There are income phase-out limits. Some production codes, 512 codes, 711 codes, are not SSTBs, full deduction regardless of income. I'm not going deep on this, talk to your CPA, but know that your code can affect this deduction. Good news, your business code doesn't affect self-employment tax. You pay 15.3% on net profit regardless of whether you're a writer, designer, or consultant. Some people think different codes have different self-employment tax rates. They don't. Does changing your code increase audit risk? Not if the change is legitimate and your deductions match your new code. What does increase risk? Changing codes frequently or having expenses that don't match your code. Change once for a good reason, you're fine. If you change your business code, do these 4 things to stay audit-proof. Action number 1, document the reason, write a memo explaining why you changed codes, date it, keep it with tax records. Action number 2, align your expenses. Make sure your deductions actually match the new code's typical expenses. Action number 3, update your business description. If you have an EIN, update your business activity description with the IRS if needed. Action number 4, be consistent going forward. Don't change codes again next year unless your business fundamentally changes again. Do these 4 things and you're bulletproof. Now, let me show you the most common mistakes people make when changing codes. Mistake number 1, using 541990 as a default. Stop using all other professional services unless you literally can't find a more specific code. It's the lazy choice, and it costs you in deductions. Spend 10 minutes finding your actual code. Worth it. Mistake number 2, matching code to your business name. Your business is called Smith Consulting LLC, so you think you need a consulting code? Wrong. Use the code for what you actually do, not what your business is named. I've seen photographers using consulting codes because their LLC said consulting. Don't do this. Mistake number 3, changing codes every year. Your revenue mix shifts 5 to 10% year to year. Don't change codes. Only change when your primary activity fundamentally shifts. Code hopping makes you look inconsistent and can trigger review. Mistake number 4, not updating deductions to match. You change from 541990 to 711510, content creator, but still claim the same generic expenses? Red flag. If you are now a content creator, claim content creation expenses. Update your code and your deduction strategy together. Mistake number 5, forgetting to tell your CPA. If you use a tax preparer, tell them you changed your code and why. Don't let them autofill last year's code. I literally saw someone's CPA use the wrong code 3 years in a row because the client never mentioned changing business activities. Here's your 30-day code change plan. Week 1, audit your current situation, pull last year's Schedule C, look at line 2, what code are you using? Calculate what percentage of revenue comes from each service you offer. Identify your primary business activity. That's 50% or more of revenue. Week 2, find your correct code. Go to NAICS.com or check IRS Schedule C instructions. Search for your primary activity. Read full descriptions of 2 or 3 potential codes. Choose the most specific match. Week 3, document everything. Write a memo. Changed from code X to code Y because reason. Review your typical deductions. Do they match the new code? Identify any new deductions you can now legitimately claim. Save documentation in your tax folder. Week 4, implement next tax year if using tax software. Update your business code and settings. If using a CPA, email them the change with your documentation. When you file next year, new code goes on line 2. Done. I'm heading back to the same CPA's office where I learned about this 1 year later. Last year, she circled that wrong code on my Schedule C and I felt like an idiot. This year, I came prepared. Showed her my updated code, showed her my documentation, showed her the additional $12,500 in legitimate deductions. She nodded, said, "Now you're doing it right. Cost me $3,400 in extra taxes to learn this lesson, but I learned it." So here's my question for you. How much is your wrong business code costing you? Next week, I'm breaking down the home office deduction for self-employed people. Specifically, the simplified method versus actual expense method. One method saves you more money, the other saves you from an audit. I'll show you exactly which one to use based on your situation. But this week, your job is simple. Pull up last year's Schedule C, look at line 2, comment below what code you're currently using. I'll tell you if it's right or if you should change it. Seriously, comment your code, let's figure this out together. I'll reply to every single one. Since people always ask, here are the most common code changes I see. Common change number 1 to 5 41990, generic to 711510. Content creators. If you write, create videos, or produce any creative content. Common change number 2 to 541990, generic to 541430, graphic design, if majority of income is design work. Common change number 3 to 541990, generic to 541511, software development. If you're building software or apps, common change number 4 to 5 41611, admin consulting to 541618, management consulting, if you leveled up from admin work to strategic consulting. Common change number 5 to 541990, generic, to 541922, commercial photography. If you're a professional photographer, stop using the catch-all. If your situation is one of these, you probably need to change your code. Let me show you the final comparison one more time. Before code 541990, gross income $120,000, total deductions $42,000, net profit $78,000, self-employment tax $11,011, income tax at 25% bracket $19,500, total tax bill $30,511 after code 711510, gross income $120,000, total deductions $54,500, net profit $65,500, self-employment tax $9,245, income tax at 25% bracket $16,375, total tax bill $25,620. Same income, different code, $4,891 less in taxes. And that's just 1 year. Your turn. Go check your code. Same time next Wednesday, home office deductions. Don't leave money on the table. See you then.